All right, so Google just dropped a huge update for its Gemini AI. And honestly, it's a pretty big deal. And I don't mean just a few little tweaks here and there. Nope, we're talking about an upgrade that could completely change how you and I interact with our digital assistants. So, what's actually new? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's just start with this question, right? What if your AI assistant could actually do things for you? And I'm not talking about, just answering a quick question or helping you draft an email. I mean, really handling those complex, multi-step tasks from the very beginning to the very end. That's really the big idea, the core of this whole update.
And you gotta understand, this isn't just some small patch they're pushing out. Google is talking about this as a major, major leap forward for AI. We're moving away from AI as just a simple tool and toward it being more of a proactive partner. So this whole upgrade basically stands on three big pillars. First up, you've got the brain of the operation, the brand new Gemini 3 model, which is way smarter. Then you've got the look and feel, something they're calling generative interfaces that, get this, adapt to you. And finally, the power, the Gemini agent, an assistant built to tackle those really complex real-world tasks. We're going to break down each one. All right, first things first, let's talk about the foundation of all of this, the new Gemini 3 model. You can basically think of it as the supercharged brain that makes everything else we're about to talk about even possible. So what's the big deal with this new brain? Well, according to Google, it's setting a whole new standard for AI performance. And what that means for you and me is we're going to get responses that are way more helpful, better formatted, and honestly, just more to the point. Less fluff, more of the good stuff. Now, a huge reason for this intelligence boost is this thing called multimodal understanding. It sounds complicated, but it's actually a really cool idea. It's the AI's ability to process and connect different kinds of information all at the same time, like text, pictures, and even audio. So it's not just seeing a photo or reading some words, it's understanding how they all relate to each other. It's a game changer. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, you could say snap a picture of a really tough homework problem and ask for help. Or you could have it transcribe your audio notes from a lecture you missed. They're even calling it their best vibe coding models so far, which means developers can start building apps just by describing the feel or the style they're going for. Pretty wild. Okay, so having a smarter brain is awesome, but that's not all. Google is also completely rethinking the entire user experience. This is where the app's whole look and feel gets a massive overhaul. And this is where things start to feel a little bit like science fiction. They're introducing something called generative interfaces. The core idea here is that the app's interface, it isn't static anymore. The AI literally builds a custom interface for you, on the fly, perfectly designed for whatever you just asked it to do. And to kick things off, they're rolling out two different experiments to show what this can do. On one side, you have visual layout, which generates these really immersive, almost magazine-style views. And on the other side, you've got dynamic view, which goes even further and actually designs and codes a custom interactive interface right there in front of you. Let's use a real example to make this a little more concrete. With visual layout, imagine you tell it, plan a 3-day trip to Rome. Instead of just giving you a boring wall of text, it creates this beautiful visual itinerary with pictures and different modules that you can actually click on and explore. And Dynamic View takes that idea a whole step further. For example, if you ask it to, say, explain the Van Gogh gallery, it doesn't just spit back some text. No, it designs and codes a custom little mini app right there on your screen. It becomes this interactive experience where you can tap on paintings, dive into details, something a simple text block could never, ever do. So we've got a smarter brain, we've got an interface that adapts to us. So the next logical question is, what happens when you put them both together? Well, that's where we get to the power component, the Gemini agent. Now, the Gemini agent is an experimental feature, and it's rolling out first to Ultra subscribers. But what it does is act like your own personal assistant. It can handle these really complex, multi-step jobs by actually connecting to your other Google apps, like Gmail and Calendar, to get things done for you. So how does that actually work? Let's say you ask it, book a mid-size SUV for my trip. Here's what the agent does. First, it finds your flight details right from your email. Then, it searches for rental car options. After that, it filters all the results based on your budget, say under $80 a day. And finally, it gets the entire booking ready for you to give the final okay.
It's breaking down this one big request into a bunch of smaller, logical, automated steps.
But of course, this brings up a huge question, right? Do you really want an AI just making bookings and spending your money? And Google knows this is a concern. The key thing they're stressing is that you are always in control. Gemini is specifically designed to ask for your confirmation before it does anything critical, like making a purchase or sending a message. So you're always in the driver's seat. Okay, so we've looked at the smarter model, the adaptive interface, and the super powerful agent. Let's kind of pull back and tie this all together. What does all of this really mean for the future of AI assistants? This is really the key evolution you need to grasp. It all starts with a much, much smarter model at its core. That powerful model is what enables this truly dynamic interface. And when you put those two things together, you create a powerful agent that can actually take action on your behalf. We're seeing a shift from AI just giving you information to AI actually getting things done.
And this brings us right back to where we started, but now with a completely new way of thinking about it. We're moving from an AI that just answers your questions to one that actually accomplishes tasks for you. And that really just leaves us with one final thing to think about. What's the very first complex task you would give your own personal agent?